All right, we're live. What's going on, people? What's good? All right, today we're going to tackle the myth that's been holding back a lot of coaches. The myth of the perfect sales script. You've probably seen those programs that promise, quick wins and easily enrollments by proven scripts. We made $18 million with these scripts, or this magical script, or whatever it is. That's why I hear a lot of people saying they really need to get a magical script. I've seen scripts from like 23 pages long, maybe even longer. I've seen all kinds of stuff. Now, personally, I don't care if you use a script or not, if it works for you. I'm not a fan personally, but I've used them before. Anyway, but the thing you got to think about is if you get real with it. What's going on? Unable to stream. All right, whatever. Okay, sorry. Whatever. Okay, as I was saying, getting real. If you get real about it, like think about like how many of those scripts have you tried actually feel genuine? The tactics that you hear in it. Some people will tell me different things, different programs tell them to do, and they're like, it doesn't feel good, right? Like how many of those tactics that you try or you use that make you feel like you need a shower after, right? It's like, if you imagine you're on a call and you're following the script, and how many times does the conversation not flow naturally? It just doesn't feel like a natural thing. It's like there's a guy named comedian. He used to be a comedian. Now he's kind of like a personal development guy named Kyle Cease. And he talks about, like, if you go to your friend's house, do you need like a set list of what you're going to talk about? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm going to go over here. And first, I'm going to talk about this, then we're going to talk about that. No, you just have a conversation, right? We are inherently good at that. But for some reason, on these calls, people freeze up and they have to try to get to that rigid script. But the problem with that is that most of the time it doesn't flow, right? And you can feel the client's resistance. They can feel some disconnection, right? And you just know that maybe you're not connecting like you want to. It ends up feeling awkward or inauthentic, I hear, or it frankly just drains people, right? And not only that, but using tactics, like sales tactics for the sense of it, it's kind of, manipulating. I don't have a problem with manipulating people for their best interest personally, but it can come across, this is the problem, it's not the intention, it's how it comes across that all you care about is the sale. You just care about money, and it damages your credibility, right? When you focus on closing the deal at any costs, now that looks so many different ways on the call, right? But the problem is you lose sight of the client's best interest, right? I'll give you an example. When I first started off, this was 2016, so a long time ago. I was listening to this client's call, and she was working with women, like kind of like a relationship offer kind of thing. And anyway, the lady had just said to her that, I don't know if I would be alive if I didn't have my cats. I probably would have killed myself by now. And she goes into the next question, which is, and how's that affecting your business? I swear to you, like I was on the call with her, listening to the call. I paused it and I said, I'll be right back. I had to get up and walk away. It was so incomprehensible for me that was even, but unfortunately, when you think about it, most people on their calls, if they're really in their script, they're looking at that and they're missing, you're not fully present, right? So the problem with that is some people are just in their head. What's the perfect thing to say? What's this? What's that, right? So the problem is when you're in your head or in your script, clients sense it, right? And they can tell that you're not there or you don't care about them. That's how it feels to them, right? And it feels to them like they're being pressured or they're being manipulated. And it's a huge turnoff. It's like, are you even listening to me, right? It's like you're just kidding your points, right? And now maybe this doesn't apply to you, then cool, right? But I don't know how thousands of calls I've probably listened to, at least over 1,000 calls. It's insane amount. And usually they're missing a piece of being fully present, right? So, and I used to think that people had to just internalize a script because I come from a sales background, and that's what most professional salespeople do is they internalize the script and they forget about it. And the good ones can meander around through and don't have to hit it specifically in order, right? But the challenge is how you know that scripts really don't matter is if you take a professional organization, they all have the same script. They have a lot of salespeople. One person does amazing, other people do horrible. It's the same script. So we know it's more than just a script, right? But the problem is that coaches never really internalize it, and they're always trying to get somewhere. They're forcing pain. They're trying to make them realize how bad it is, and it's like it's an awkward thing, right? So my breakthrough came when I realized that genuine connection, right, is the most powerful sales tool, hands down. And it's not trying to connect with people. It's not trying to get rapport with small talk or needing to be liked, right? Because that has the opposite effect that you think. It repels people, right? Because it's a form of neediness, right? But for me, realizing that it's that the connection comes from being fully present, right? And I don't know how many times I've seen people come to me with these long scripts, and I'm like, oh my God, just talk to the person. And a couple of times, some clients have had the guts to throw their script away for a call and just connect with the person, talk to them. And usually they get enrollments and they have these breakthroughs like, oh my God. Now we want to have the structure and framework too, right? And so that we can hit the points in a natural way, right? But when you focus on understanding them, actively listening, right? Speaking from the heart, enrollment becomes natural and effortless. It's just having a conversation, right? And not only do the clients feel more comfortable and trusting, they don't feel judged, right? Which is important because most scripts make them feel judged. That's why when you go into the pain and you're like, oh, blah, 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 they feel like you're against them, right? So learning to ask really good questions that have them self-reflect and make them unpack those things without you putting their face in it, it feels way better, right? It feels better for you. It feels better for them, right? And you get energized and fulfilled in your work. You're not so drained after your calls. Like a client I had named Benji, he's a great coach. And one of the things he would say after learning this process of being able to have just a conversation with people versus the scripted method, I call it more like structured kind of thing, like a framework. And it doesn't matter how we get there as long as we hit the points kind of thing, right? And Benji said, the best thing about this process is that it's emotionally sustainable. I'm like, what does that even mean? And he's like, well, when I get off the call, I'm not exhausted. I don't feel drained. I don't feel like I've been in battle, another objection, another thing, just like emotionally draining. He said, I get off the call, whether they sign up or don't, I feel good. I feel like the process is in alignment to who I am, right? So there's no more burnout. There's no more feeling salesy, right? It's like a win-win for everyone. Okay, so how do we connect this? Okay, let's talk about like personality types because not everyone communicates the same way, right? Obviously, right? So understanding these differences can make a huge difference in your enrollment conversations, right? So they become much smoother. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all of them right now. I'm going to go through a couple examples, right? There's the GEMS personality type, there's DISC, there's all kinds, 16 personalities, there's a million of them, right? I like the GEMS one because it's very, very simple, and you don't need these complex layers. It's just simple. So they have, one of their personality types is called Sapphires, for example, right? They're energetic, expressive, they love to brainstorm possibilities, right? So when you're talking to a Sapphire, you have to paint a vivid picture of the transformation, right? Very like imagery and detail with that, right? So sharing inspiring stories, getting them excited about the journey, okay? They're the talkers too, right? Just to give you a perspective. And then now we have like the difference between that and like someone who's like an emerald, right? They're completely different. They're analytical, they're detail-oriented, and they value logic, right? They're the engineering types, right? So when you talk to an emerald, you got to provide clear, factual information, right? You got to break down the process step by step. Give them, they want data, right? They want it. And that way they can make an informed decision, right? And the key is to adapt your message to the people, the personality type, without losing your authenticity, right? Now, the problem becomes is when you use these canned lines that they teach you, right? Give you an example like the fast action discount or incentive-based pricing, right? Now, if you do that to a Sapphire, it can work fine. It's not a problem, right? Most of them are going to be okay. Now, if you do it to the engineering type, right, the Emeralds, they're going to be ready to buy your program, and as soon as you do that, they say they immediately shut down. They won't buy, right? Because they're like, if this was good, they wouldn't need to do these sleazy sales tactics, and that's how they see it, as a manipulation, right? Now these Emeralds who are more analytical will not go into the feelings really deep, right? So that's another thing people see. They have to feel the pain to sign up, you know. And that's somewhat true, but not really. You know what I mean? It's like when you try to get them emotionally connected to these things, you lose, you break it. Versus if you can hit them, you can close them better with logic, these people. And you still get to the point, but it's the way you ask questions where it's not like, doesn't come across like the feelings so much, right? Anyways, it's a subtle shift. But anyway, if you do that to an Emerald, they shut down. They could have been like 98% sure they were going to buy, and they were just like hesitating. And you do that, and they're done. They're out. So that's why I don't like to use it, because half of the people it can work for, and the other half are going to be immediately shutting down. As soon as you do that, it's over, right? So that's why I don't like to do that, right? So like I said, the key is to adapt how you communicate your message while being congruent to who you are, and just connecting in a way that they want. Right. So when speaking about language, you have to use language that connects to them and resonates with them. All right. So to help you practice this, I've created a free resource for you called the Authentic Enrollment Conversation Checklist. Right. And the checklist will just kind of go through some steps so you can have like a genuine, excuse me, Jeepers Creepers. So you can have a genuine enrollment conversation, with tips on how you can tailor your message to the different personality types. So if you want that, I guess put checklist in the comments, I guess, and I can shoot that over to you. In the comments or in the message me. Like I said, some people like messages, and let me know. So make sure that whatever you're doing on your calls that it's personalized to the people you're speaking with, right, and be congruent to you. Anyway, that's what I got for today. I think a short one today. 12 minutes, 13 minutes. Cool. I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Any questions or topics you want, put them underneath, and I'll see if I can get to them in the next couple of days. All right. Take it easy. See ya.